Good morning. Welcome to Plugged In. We'll be in Galatians chapter 5 right after this. Well, good morning. Welcome back to Plugged In. It's a beautiful December morning, sun shining, low temperatures, but everything seems to be running pretty smooth. Wow, we are like 2 weeks away. 2 weeks from today is Christmas Day. It's go time. Like if you haven't got your stuff done now, well, maybe this lesson will be beneficial. It's not about procrastination, but it is to do with our attitude during these stressful crunch times. So just a thought for you today on the how an attitude can really change the whole system and the environment. I want to share with you a quick little story about Mamie Adams. She would always go to the branch office of the post office in her town because the postal employees there were friendly. So she went there to buy some stamps one Christmas, and the lines were particularly long. And someone just, nicely, I guess, pointed out to her that there was no need for her to wait in line because there was a stamp machine in the lobby. And Mamie answered this way, "I know, but the machine won't ask me about my arthritis." Kindness is still expressed today in our society. It just seems to be less and less. In connection to the opening story, we live more in an automated world. Now, I have to be careful that I don't get cut off here because the gentleman that's running this for me is that younger generation where, well, that's all they've ever known. And so there is some benefits to that. But, we have these machines that tell us at the stores what the amount of the purchase is, which button to select for payment. Then it spits out a receipt and it begins to program itself for the next person in line. I recently stopped at one of the banks that I do business with, and the teller told me after I'd been sitting in line through the drive-thru that if I wanted to save time, I could have just went through the automated teller. And my comment to her was similar to Mamie's. I simply said, "I know, but I would rather see someone face to face to see how they're doing and to just sharing conversation." While we have the convenience of automated bank tellers and register lines, it has taken the personal interaction away. I'll be honest, I now at times use the self-checkout lane, but it took me a long time to get there because I enjoy just walking up and visiting with the person behind the counter. But I believe that's another reason that we see less and less kindness. You see, we don't get the chance to practice it with a machine. You push a few buttons, you punch a tab, you tap the card, and you're on your way. Which is also another reason that we don't see kindness as much as we used to. We just don't have the time, or we don't take the time to practice it. We do have the time, but personally, we are just so busy and we have so many things to get done that we are in a hurry to have face-to-face interaction, and so it just does not exist. But I think there might be one more reason in which we don't witness kindness as we once did. And this is a big one. It's self-centeredness. We're focused on one person, and that one person is ourself. We don't want to talk to anyone because what they have to say might seem boring or irrelevant or unimportant. So in our world, if you have something to say, you just post it on Facebook, which for the most part is just a billboard that says, "Look at me and pay attention to what I am doing." Now, I know I might be sounding a little old-fashioned. There might be the older generation watching this going, "Preach it, brother." And there might be a younger generation saying, "That guy just doesn't get it." And believe me, there was a time that I thought that I would never utter such words, that I'm old-fashioned. But for a moment, can I encourage of you to push the rewind button of your life and to recall a time when people just seemed to be a little bit more friendlier, kinder, more polite with one another. And the truth is, it can still be that way. And the first person who needs to model it is me and you. Let's not wait for someone else to do it. Let's not grumble about the unkindness or impoliteness that is expressed. Let's show it. Let's give an example of what it looks like. The Apostle Paul wrote a number of things to the Galatian churches, and one of them that is quite familiar is going to show up on your screen. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace. The text says forbearance. Some versions might say kindness or patience. Then we have kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things there is no law. If you notice that list, they actually all connect together. You can't have patience without having love, and you can't express joy without having kindness, and they're all linked together. You can't say, "Well, I'm a person who's really kind, but I have a problem having joy in my life, and so, but I've got some of them." That's not the way it works. And in living by the Spirit, we keep all of those at a high level, keeping them all at the same level. Paul goes on to say this, and it won't be in your text, but here's what he says. He says, "Since we live by the Spirit, let us keep in step with the Spirit," which is another way of saying, if we're going to live as Christ, let's keep in step with Christ. Let's not get out of line. There was crunch times for Jesus. There were those moments that he wanted to pull his hair out because of people. And there were times that he was very annoyed with the individuals that he was around. But we find that he never sinned in the area of being self-centered, or that he did not express kindness or gentleness or self-control to one another. I want to just encourage of you, as we're, again, in that crunch time these last 2 weeks before the celebration of his birth, that what we do is we try to stay in step with what he practiced. And one of those is being kind to one another. Thank you again for watching. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week on Plugged In.